I'd been chasing that promotion for 2 years, working late, taking on extra responsibilities, saying yes to everything. So when my boss finally told me I was going to be the new regional manager, I felt like I could finally breathe again. I shook his hand, smiled for the team photo, and left the office buzzing. This was going to change everything. Not just for my career, for me and Anna, too. My name's Darren. I'm 32 and I live in St. Louis with my wife, Anna. We've been married 4 years, and lately, things between us had started to feel more like autopilot than partnership. Wake up, coffee, work, dinner, TV, sleep. Repeat. But this promotion? I thought it might wake us up a little. I thought maybe she'd be proud of me again. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in months. Practically ran up the driveway, ready to burst through the door and tell her. Anna. I called as I stepped inside, dropping my keys on the entry table. The house was quiet, but I could hear the hairdryer running upstairs. That was a good sign. She was home. I've got big news. I shouted as I climbed the stairs, trying not to sound like a lunatic. The bathroom door was open. Her blow dryer was going full blast. The bedroom was a mess of black fabric and gold accents. A dress I hadn't seen before laid out across the bed, a small clutch beside it, new heels by the dresser. I paused, still smiling but confused. She noticed me in the mirror and clicked the blow dryer off. Oh, hey, I said, walking toward the bed. You busy? I've got that event tonight for work, remember? She didn't look at me as she started applying eyeliner. Right. I'd forgotten. I got the promotion, I said, holding back a grin. Regional manager. They told me this afternoon. She paused for maybe half a second. That's great. Her voice was flat, distracted. She leaned in closer to the mirror, steadying her hand. Can you hand me my clutch? I blinked. Seriously? Yeah, it's right there. She nodded toward the bed, still focused on her eyeliner. I'm already running late. I stood there holding the clutch, the words still in my mouth. My news, something I'd been dying to tell her, was just background noise in her evening. She finally turned around, glanced at me. Can we talk about it later? I really need to go. And just like that, the air in the room went cold. I nodded, handed her the clutch, and watched her grab her coat without even a smile. It was supposed to be a big moment, but all I felt was invisible. The venue was the kind of place with valet parking and napkins folded into swan shapes. Downtown, glossy, filled with the kind of people who talked with one hand and held a wine glass in the other. Not exactly my scene, but I showed up anyway, because Anna asked me to. I'd changed into a blazer and clean shoes. I even shaved. I stood a little taller when I walked in, hoping tonight might feel like a reset. Maybe she hadn't meant to brush off the promotion. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe she'd make up for it here, introduce me around, let me in on her world. That hope didn't last long. She was already across the room, surrounded by people, laughing, smiling, tossing her hair like she hadn't just made me feel like a ghost 2 hours ago. Hey, you made it, she said when she spotted me. She walked over and gave me a quick kiss on the cheek, light and automatic. Drinks are at the bar. Just put it on the company tab. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but she was already gone, back to her little circle of colleagues, leaving me standing there like I'd accidentally wandered into someone else's party. I made my way to the bar, ordered a whiskey I didn't really want, just to have something in my hand. Around me, people were talking in that smooth, practiced way that corporate folks do. I didn't know any of them. Anna never introduced me. It was about 20 minutes in when a woman took the empty seat next to me. She was wearing a deep green dress and had the kind of confidence that made the whole room tilt toward her. You look like you'd rather be anywhere else, she said, smirking into her wine. I gave a dry laugh. That obvious? She tilted her head. You Anna's husband? Yeah, Darren. I'm Catherine, she said, offering her hand. I work in PR. We've met, I think, once at a holiday party. You had on a flannel shirt and looked like you wanted to be hit by a bus. I laughed in spite of myself. That sounds about right. We talked. She was sharp and funny and a little bit bold. Every now and then, she'd glance toward the crowd where Anna was holding court. You know, she said, swirling her drink. Anna's been talking a lot lately. I looked at her. About what? Catherine leaned in slightly. About how things aren't really working. How the two of you have grown. Separate. Her tone wasn't cruel, just matter of fact. She said she feels like you don't notice her anymore. I swallowed. That's funny. I was starting to think she didn't notice me. Catherine raised an eyebrow. Maybe you're both right. She paused, then smiled. You're a good guy, Darren. That's clear. But she's been checked out for a while. And people notice. I didn't say anything. Across the room, Anna laughed at something one of her coworkers said. She looked radiant. Like she belonged there. And I didn't. Catherine tapped her glass lightly against mine. Just saying, she murmured. Some of us notice you. Even when she doesn't. Catherine and I were still at the bar when the music shifted from background hum to something steady and pulsing. People started drifting toward the dance floor, couples pairing off, shoes coming off, wine loosening everyone's limbs. Then I felt it. A glare. I turned and saw Anna across the room. Her eyes were locked on us. Not just glancing, not curious. She looked irritated, like she was seeing something she didn't expect and didn't like. Catherine noticed, too. Your wife looks like she just swallowed a lemon. She's probably wondering why I'm not standing quietly in a corner, I muttered. Catherine set her glass down and stood. Come dance with me. I blinked. I don't really. She grabbed my hand before I could finish. You need it more than I do. The dance floor was already crowded. Soft lights. Laughter. Some top 40 song that I half recognized. Catherine moved easily, confidently. I followed, clumsily at first, but it didn't seem to matter. You know, she said as we moved. Anna's gotten very good at being the one who's admired. I tried to laugh, but it came out flat. She used to talk about you all the time when she first started here, Catherine went on. Said you were the most thoughtful guy she'd ever met. Said you were steady, strong, safe. Safe, I echoed. That's a fun one. She meant it like a compliment. Catherine looked me dead in the eye. But somewhere along the way, she stopped being impressed. Got too used to being the center of attention. I swallowed. And I got too used to being ignored. She leaned in a little closer. You don't have to be invisible just because she stopped looking. My chest tightened. The music faded into the background. Catherine's words echoed in my head in a way I couldn't quite shake. Then I felt another shift. Anna. She stepped onto the dance floor with a tight smile, her heels clicking like punctuation. Mind if I cut in? She said, already sliding a hand onto my arm. Catherine smiled sweetly, not moving an inch. Oh, we were just having a great talk. Darren's actually pretty fascinating, once someone actually listens. Anna's jaw tightened. I'm sure. I was just saying, Catherine went on. It's amazing how easy it is to take someone for granted. You stop seeing what's right in front of you. Anna's eyes flashed. Thanks for the reminder. You're welcome. Catherine let go of my hand, but her smile didn't fade. Take care of him. Or don't. Someone will. As she disappeared into the crowd, Anna turned to me. Seriously? I didn't answer. Because suddenly, for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel invisible anymore. And that scared her. We walked off the dance floor in silence. But it wasn't the kind of silence that settles. It was thick, buzzing with everything unspoken and ready to explode. I followed Anna through the venue until we reached a quiet hallway near the restrooms, where the music faded to a muffled pulse behind the walls. She spun around to face me. What the hell was that, Darren? What was what? I asked, keeping my voice even. A conversation? With Catherine? Really? Her voice was sharp, almost trembling. She's the office flirt. She throws herself at anything in a blazer. I shook my head. She talked to me. That's more than you've done in weeks. Anna narrowed her eyes. So this is about attention now? You needed a cheerleader, and I wasn't enough? I took a breath. No, it's about feeling like I don't exist anymore. I came home with the biggest news of my career today, and you told me to grab your clutch. She scoffed. So now I'm the villain because I had plans? No, I said, louder now. You're the villain because you stopped giving a damn. About me. About us. You didn't even ask what the promotion meant. You didn't care. That's not fair. It is fair. I took a step closer. You checked out of this marriage a long time ago. You stopped seeing me, Anna. Catherine noticed more about me in 15 minutes than you've noticed in the last 6 months. Her face hardened. Oh, so now she's your therapist? That's great. Go ahead. Run to her. I let out a breath through my nose, trying not to raise my voice. I don't want Catherine. I want my wife back. But I don't even know if she's in there anymore. Anna crossed her arms, jaw tight. You're trying to flip this. You're the one embarrassing me in front of my coworkers, Darren. I laughed, one sharp, bitter sound. Embarrassing you? I stood alone at the bar for 30 minutes while you floated around like I was some intern you forgot to dismiss. And now that someone else showed interest, suddenly I matter? Her eyes darted toward the hallway entrance, checking if anyone was nearby. She lowered her voice. If you wanted to make a scene, congratulations. You did. I stared at her. You think this is about making a scene? This is about finally saying the truth out loud. You treat me like background noise, and then get angry when someone else hears me. Anna's face twitched. There was a crack in the armor now. The confidence she wore so easily at the party had slipped. For once, she didn't have a snappy comeback. She looked at the floor, lips pressed tight. I didn't ask for this to turn into a disaster. And I didn't ask to be invisible in my own marriage, I said. We stood there for a moment, both breathing hard. Then she turned on her heel and walked away, her heels clicking with fury and shame. And I just stood there, alone again, but this time, not in silence. This time, I knew exactly what I wanted. and what I couldn't go back to. I returned to the party slowly, half expecting Anna to be gone. But no, she was back near the bar, pacing, her lips tight around her wine glass. Catherine stood not far away, chatting with someone, but her eyes flicked to me as I approached. She raised an eyebrow like she was checking if I was still breathing. Before I could say anything, Anna spotted me and made a beeline across the room. Her heels snapped against the polished floor. Heads turned. "There you are," she said through gritted teeth. "We're leaving. Now." I didn't move. "No, I'm staying." Her face flushed red. "Darren, don't do this. We're not going to have a scene." "You already did," Catherine cut in, her voice light, but sharp enough to slice glass. Anna turned to her. "This isn't your business. It became my business when you started treating your husband like hired help." I held up a hand, trying to stay calm, but the pressure was building. People were watching. Conversations quieted. Anna narrowed her eyes. "I don't know what game you think you're playing, but this is our personal matter." Catherine smiled, cool and unfazed. "Right? Except you made it public the moment you dragged him across the dance floor like he was your intern." The crowd stilled. Someone nearby coughed and looked away. Others openly stared. Anna's voice trembled slightly. "This is ridiculous." Catherine stepped closer. "You didn't even know he got promoted today, did you?" That did it. A ripple went through the crowd. Anna blinked, caught off guard. "What?" "Regional manager," I said. "I told you earlier. You told me to grab your clutch." Silence. "Oh my God," someone near us muttered. Anna's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Catherine tilted her head. "And this is the woman who claims she's the glue of the relationship." "That's enough," Anna snapped, voice breaking. "You don't know anything about us." "I know he's the one standing here right now, defending himself for the first time," Catherine said. "I know he's been your emotional ATM, and you've treated him like a status prop." Murmurs stirred again. Someone put down their glass a little too loudly. Anna's cheeks turned scarlet. "Look, this is all out of context," Anna started, trying to recover. "No," I said, stepping in. "It's exactly in context. I gave everything I had to this marriage, and I've gotten nothing but silence and cold shoulders in return." She looked around the room, suddenly aware that her co-workers weren't laughing anymore. They weren't rushing to her side. They were watching. I could see her facade cracking. The polished image she worked so hard to maintain, breaking under the weight of exposure. She looked at me like she didn't recognize who I was anymore. "Good. That made two of us." "You should leave," I said quietly. Anna's lip trembled, but she didn't argue. She turned and walked out, alone. No more spotlight. No more curated crowd. Just the echo of heels against tile and a silence she couldn't control. And I stayed behind, standing still in the storm she never saw coming. By the time I got home, the party lights were still burned into my vision. The glittering room, the judgmental stares, Anna's red face disappearing through the doors. I half expected to come back to an empty house, her shoes and coat gone from the hallway. But she was there, sitting on the couch, still in her black dress, heels off, makeup smudged under her eyes. Her arms were crossed tightly, like she was bracing for impact. "Did you enjoy that?" she asked, her voice low and brittle. I dropped my keys on the kitchen counter. Did I enjoy what? Letting Catherine humiliate me in front of everyone. I walked into the living room, stopping just short of the couch. "Catherine didn't humiliate you. She just said what I've been thinking for months." Anna looked up at me, wounded but still defensive. "So now everything's my fault." "No, but a lot of it is." She stood, arms still folded. "I made one mistake tonight." I shook my head slowly. "It wasn't one night. It's been months. You don't talk to me unless it's about errands or bills. You dismiss everything I say. And tonight, I got the biggest promotion of my career, and you didn't even pretend to care." "I had a work event," she snapped. "I was under pressure too." "Yeah? And I showed up. I still showed up. But you didn't." She paused, mouth opening, but I didn't let her speak. "I'm tired of being your background. The guy who keeps the lights on while you chase whatever version of yourself you're trying to be." Anna's expression cracked just a little. "I never meant to make you feel small." "But you did," I said. "Every single day." Her eyes shimmered with tears, but she didn't cry. "I still love you, Darren. That's not enough anymore." She stepped closer, her voice soft. "We can fix this." I stared at her, really looked at her. "Can we?" She hesitated. "I want to, but only now that I said something." I said. "Only now that you've been called out." Silence stretched between us. "I gave you so many chances," I added. "But respect, that's not something I should have to beg for." She looked down at her bare feet. I turned away, walking toward the stairs. "Where are you going?" she asked quietly. "To bed," I said. Alone. Because I wasn't ready to pretend things were okay. Not when I finally realized how long they hadn't been. I woke up the next morning to the smell of bacon and coffee, like some sitcom version of an apology. Sunlight streamed through the blinds, and for a second, I thought maybe things had shifted back to normal, whatever that was. But the hollow feeling in my chest was still there. I walked downstairs and found Anna in the kitchen, dressed in one of her soft weekend sweaters, hair tied up, trying to act like everything was fine. The table was set. Eggs, toast, fresh-cut fruit. Even that little glass jar of jam I liked. She looked up when I entered. "Good morning." I sat down across from her, not touching the plate. "What's all this?" She shrugged. "I thought we could have breakfast. Talk." I stared at the meal, then at her. "Looks nice, but it feels like a peace offering you didn't earn." Her face fell slightly. "I'm trying, Darren." "I know," I said, "but I don't need a tray of food. I needed you to show up months ago, not when you got embarrassed in front of your coworkers." She opened her mouth to speak, then closed it again. I could see her wrestling with what to say. "I was scared last night," she said finally. "Seeing you with Catherine, I realized you might actually be done with me." I nodded. I was scared too, of waking up one day and realizing I'd given my whole self to someone who stopped seeing me. Her eyes glossed over, but she held it together. "I didn't mean to make you feel like that. But you did," I said simply. "And now I'm trying to figure out if I can ever let you in again." She reached for my hand across the table, and I let her touch it, but I didn't grip back. That's when my phone buzzed. A message from Catherine. "Catherine, just checking in. You okay?" Anna saw the name on the screen. Her eyes flicked up. "So you two are talking now." "I'm not hiding it," I said. She reached out. She asked if I was okay. "That's more than you've done lately." "Are you planning to be with her?" she asked, voice quiet, cautious. "No, I'm not planning anything," I replied. "I'm just done protecting you from the truth. And I'm done ignoring what I need." Anna leaned back, swallowing hard. "So what now?" I stood, grabbed my coffee, and took a sip. "Now, I focus on myself. You can be part of that or not, but it's not going to look like it used to." "I want to be," she said quickly. "I'll do better." I nodded, non-committal. "We'll see." She looked like she wanted to say more, to ask for reassurance, but she didn't. And I didn't offer it. Because this time, my loyalty wasn't to fixing her guilt. It was to finally hearing myself. I spent the day in quiet motion, taking a long walk, catching up on unread emails, booking a call with HR to discuss travel plans for my new role. Things that felt normal, grounding. Not once did Anna try to stop me or interrupt. She lingered around the house like a shadow, cleaning things that didn't need cleaning, glancing at me like she was hoping I'd say something that made all of this go away. But I had nothing left to offer her that wasn't already said. By evening, my duffel bag was packed. Just clothes for a few days, some work stuff, my laptop. I wasn't making a dramatic exit. I just needed air. Space. Something that wasn't this house filled with quiet tension and delayed apologies. I zipped the bag and walked downstairs. Anna was already waiting at the bottom step, arms crossed, her eyes red but dry. "So that's it?" she asked. "You're leaving?" "I need time," I said. "And you need to figure out what you actually want, not just how to keep things from falling apart." "You're just walking away from everything?" "No," I replied. "I'm walking toward something better. A version of myself I haven't seen in a long time." She stepped in front of the door, like her body could stop this from happening. "What happens if I say, if you leave now, we're done?" I paused, met her eyes. "Then I guess we're done." Her mouth parted slightly, surprised. Maybe she thought I'd hesitate. "Beg." She didn't realize the begging ended last night. "I'm not going to be in a marriage where I have to fight for basic respect," I said. "Where love means silence, and achievement means nothing unless it comes with a gift receipt." "I didn't mean for things to get this far," she whispered. "Yeah," I said. "But you let them." We stood there a moment longer, neither of us saying anything. The house was still, like it knew something final was happening. "I do love you," she said softly. "I know," I replied. "But that's not the problem. The problem is you stopped showing it." I grabbed the handle of my bag, pulled the door open, and stepped outside. She didn't follow me, and I didn't look back. Because love isn't enough if it lives in a place where you're not seen, where your voice is background noise, where your worth is measured in silence and sacrifice. That chapter was over. I walked to my car, turned the key, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was heading somewhere real. Not away from her, but back to myself.